All right, so today we're going to change our bike into 3D in Rhino. So first thing we need to do is import it into Rhino. When you open up Rhino, it's going to ask you what model and size units to use. We are using small objects inches, and you can see that's supposed to be anything the size of a truck or smaller. Open. I want to immediately set up a few things in here. As you can see, I have my 4 viewports. I can zoom in and out using my middle scroll button. To rotate around, I'm using my right mouse button here. So zoom, scroll, and then panning, I hold shift and my right mouse button, or just my right mouse button in the orthogonal views. Okay. So I want to bring in shortcuts that I had in AutoCAD so I don't have to memorize a whole new set of shortcuts. To do that, I go to Tools, Options, Aliases, Import, and here you're going to navigate to wherever you downloaded that folder from Google Drive. So Mica, week 2, and it should be copy of 2015, Mica AD Rhino aliases, open, import all of them. Okay. So those are imported. One other thing I need to do before I can import, I need to save down my AutoCAD file because most Rhino file, unless you have a really new version, can't read the latest version of AutoCAD. So I like to save it down to 2004 just to be safe. So I'm opening up my old bike tutorial here. I'm going to go save as, and I already did this, but I'll do V2004 at the end of the file name and change it to AutoCAD 2004 here and save. Okay. So to import my file, I go to File, Import. And down here, nothing's showing up because I have my 3DM as my file type, so change it to all. And now I'm looking for the DWG file, and I want, yeah, this one, V2004, and open. Okay, here it is. We don't need the detail view, delete that. And then over here, don't need the, well, let's double check the dimensions before I delete them. So DIST, distance, will help you check your dimensions from here to here is 26.756, and yeah, same, good. Okay, so I'll delete these. I don't like working with decimals, so I'm going to change my units quickly. So if I type in units and hit enter, units and tolerances, this is where you would change it from inches to feet or to whatever. When it goes to distance display, I'm going to change this to feet and inches. I'm going to bring my display precision to 1/32 and hit OK. Okay, so now if I were to do that same distance again, it's going to tell me that that distance is really 2 feet, 2 3/4 inches. Okay, next thing I want to do is get these in position to start tracing from them, because right now everything is flat on the ground if you look in perspective. And really, I want this one to be in front view, this one to be in right view. So to do that, we're going to use a command called rotate 3D. I'm going to select everything, type in rotate 3D, hit enter. It's asking for a rotation axis. That's the axis along which things are going to rotate. So I'm going to select this bottom line from here to here. My first angle, I'm just going to come upwards and click. And then if you look in your perspective view, you can see how it's moving. So I'm going to hold down shift, bring it straight up and click. Oops, these didn't come with me. So Control Z. And you can see that if I look at my center lines, they're locked over here. So I'm going to unlock them and then reselect everything. Let's try that again. So rotate 3D, hit enter. Rotation axis is from here to here. Click up here, then hold shift and bring it straight up. Now, if you're finding you don't have as many options to click on things as I do, you might not have your object snaps on. So to get those on, you're going to come down to this bar, and this is where your snaps are. And you're going to go to OSnap. And I have these all turned on. I usually leave off the center snap. Disable allows you to disable all of the snapping at once. project allows you to just draw on one level. What I mean by that is, so if I were to start making some crazy curve over here, and like, I think I'm drawing straight, right? When I look in top view, like this all looks like it's flat. But then if I look in front view, it's actually, it was snapping to things in 3D. So it's got kind of a crazy shape. So I can always fix that if I type in project to C-plane and delete my input objects. And now it's flat. But the other way I could do it is if I put project on and then go through and create a similar line, even though I'm snapping to things. Sorry. Even though I'm snapping to things that are in 3D, it's drawing in 2D. Okay, let's delete that mess. So I have this in the correct view now. I want this to be in right view. So I'm going to rotate 3D again. So I can come into perspective, rotate 3D. Rotation axis is going to be this center line. So I'm going to select that. And did I get it? I didn't. So I can always escape and start the command again just by escape, shift, hitting escape and then hitting enter again. So I'm going to go from there to there is my rotation axis. If I hold shift, or I can put on ortho, will allow me to do this too. I can come out 90 degrees and then I want to shift it to there, and now that's helping me in that view. I'm also going to move it over to the center of my bike wheel. That's not strictly required, but I think it just helps you see things a little bit more clearly. So I'm going to move this over to here. Okay, so now I have references that are going to help me draw my bike. I have both my side references and my front references. Okay, I'm going to start out with the wheels. So I'm going to come onto this layer. If I double click it, I can rename it. Let's call this Wheels 3D. And I want to create an extrusion to begin with for my wheels. So I can tell how wide they're going to be. So I have these two lines. And then I can tell how the distance because of this line. So I'm going to select both of these circles at once and type in extrude. Okay, it's a little bit hard to see right now because my perspective is in wireframe. So I'm going to change my perspective view by right-clicking on this title and going to set view ghosted. Okay, now we can see it a little bit better. So a couple of settings I want to change. I want both sides. So right now I have this, like, so you see how this is extruding just on one side? And I can change this to shaded so you see. Oh, nope, I can't. How about, oh, I didn't do it. Okay, shaded. Nope. It doesn't want to do that. Okay, fine, whatever. So right now it's just extruding one side or the other. And really for my bike, I want to go to both sides. So I'm going to change this to both sides, yes, and now it'll extrude it towards both sides at once. Okay, so now that I have that, I'm going to bring it out until it hits this pink line, the pink line that's the width of my wheel. And if I look in perspective, that's all working, great. Okay, right now the wheels have rounded edges and that doesn't have an edge, so we're going to do a command called fillet edge. So if I select this, I'm going to type in fillet edge. And then I'm going to select the edges to fillet. So I'm going to select this edge. Oh, nope. Escape. Try again. That edge. And right now it's telling me 1 inch. That sounds like too much to me. I really want it to be like about that. So let's click on current radius and let's try just like maybe, I don't know, 1/4 inch. And hit enter again. And let's see what that looks like. No, that's way too much still. You see how like that curved it over too much. So let's try less than that. How about we do, so we're going to Control Z to get rid of that. So it's fillet edge, select edges, radius. Let's make the radius, let's do, I don't know, 1/16 of an inch. And then select that edge, hit enter, Okay, that's way too little. So let's try 1/8 of an inch. It looks like it should be 1/4, right? Like it doesn't, like 1/8 of an inch looks too small. So maybe I just did something wrong last time. Let's try that again. So let's do 1/4. Okay, still too little. So let's see what the radius of this actually is. Maybe that'd be a better way to do this. So if I do dim, I think I can do like a dim radius over here. So I can select this curve and it says it's 0.56. Okay, so let's try doing 1/2 an inch. So select, fillet edge. I want to do it just a tiny bit less than 1/2, I think, just so that it doesn't mess up at the edges there. So I'm going to do 0.4, hit enter, and then select my edge, and hit enter. Okay, that's looking a lot closer. So let's try the 0.5. Okay, yeah, that looks right. So we're going to do the same thing to this other edge, rotating over. You're going to hit enter to bring back fillet edge. Our radius is already in there, so then we just need to select this other edge, hit enter. Okay, and now we have it there. So let's also do these smaller parts for our wheels. Those we're just going to use regular extrusions. So I'm going to select those two, type in extrude curve, and let's bring that out to like, I don't know, maybe to here. I guess I can go out the full distance again. And then this little one, let's bring that in a little bit less. So let's just bring that in to like there. Okay, so now we have that as our wheel. And I made both the wheels the same on here. So let's, and actually, our wheels should have like a thing in the center, but I didn't draw that originally, right? Like normally they have like a little area they all come together to have. So I'll just leave that out, that's fine. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this over to my other side. So if I don't wanna risk moving all this stuff, I can always select all of it and lock it. And now when I select this, it's just going to select my red part and I can come into front view and move it. So I'm going to CO for copy. And I'm going to copy it from this point. And here I can use project too, just to make sure I'm not like going in some crazy direction. Okay. Now I brought that over. We have some other stuff we can just extrude. Extruding is kind of the easiest way to make things 3D. For example, we have this circle that's representing the gears here and here. So why don't we do that? So I'm going to just add it to Wheels 3D instead of having a separate layer for gears. So I'm going to unlock this stuff again because I still need to reference it. And I'm going to, you can select more than one thing at a time. So I'm going to pretend these are all the same width. Do an extrude. And sometimes your spelling matters. Okay, and let's say they're each just like 1/8 of an inch thick. They can be pretty thin. Okay, if you'll notice I have cap on. If you don't have cap on, it might look wrong. So like, see how like these are solid? So let's redo that. And let's say I didn't have cap on. And actually, I only wanted those to one side, so let me redo that anyway. So I'm going to select these, do extrude. So I'm going to turn cap off a second just so you see what happens. Without cap, then just the edges are there. It's missing the tops of my form. Okay, so let's try that again. So I select those, make sure cap is on, and then both sides actually don't want for this, so I'm going to undo that. And now we'll do my 1/8 of an inch. Okay, great. So there's my two little donuts. And let's move those out. They don't really need to be, they don't really want to be right on top of the bike. They want to be further out past the wheels, I think. Maybe not past the wheels, but they want to be a little bit to one side. So let's just use M, come into right view to move. I don't want you to move when you're in this view because it's really easy to move things somewhere crazy by accident. It's better if you move into the view that you can orthogonally see which direction you're going. So I'm going to move, I'm just going to move them a little bit to this direction. Which way do I want to go? Maybe to this direction. So coming a little bit towards the front. I'm just actually just going to move them over like maybe half an inch. Okay. So those are all set. Two more things we can extrude are this and the bike pedal. I'm going to move this out half an inch as well. Okay, this piece I'm going to extrude on its own. And let's say that's going to be half an inch. And then this piece, the center, this is kind of like the little thing that the pedal moves off of. So I'm going to extrude that on its own out to like, I don't know, 4 inches. Probably it's not that big, 3 inches. So those both went the wrong way. So we're going to take those, mirror them so that they're going the right way. Okay. Yeah, that looks fine. And then this, the pedal itself, I'm going to move out just as little bit of spacing between those two moving parts. And then I'm going to do an extrude and bring that out to here. Okay, so now I have my little pedal and wheels happening. So I might need to move these things around later, but that's just how we're going to start. So next thing I want to look at, let's take a look at our frame. This is a little bit more complicated than it looks because if we look into our front view, it has a shape in this direction as well as a shape in this direction. So this line right now is just one line. Really, it wants to be more than one line. I think it probably wants to like stop at this point. And then this piece is this piece. So let's create a little area for it to split. So I'm going to continue that line across there, take this, split, and then select that as my cutting object. Okay, so now I have this, and I have that top line. This line really doesn't want to be straight. It really wants to move around this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to trace a new line over it to give me some more points, because I could just do, there's a command called points on that tells me all the points here, but I only have 2 points and I want more than that. So I'm going to make a new layer, frame. Oh, I have to give it a new name, so frame 3D. I don't know why that wasn't valid. Try one more time. Frame. Probably put some weird characters in there. Okay, so I'm going to take my curve tool here. And I'm going to just, I'm tracing over my line. I'm just stopping and giving it more points along that line. That's all that's happening. Okay, so now that I have that, I'm going to do points on. And now I can see all those little points I made. So I'm going to move this one out first. So I'm going to move, and I'm looking at my right view, and I want to bring it out just about to the middle of where this green part is. I apologize, it's a little bit hard to see. So next I want this curve point. Bring that over towards the center. And I'm going to disable here so I'm not snapping to lots of weird things. Moving this over. Okay. So that might not be exactly how the bike geometry is, but we're going to go with that. It's good enough. Okay. So now that I have this, I can use a command called pipe. And to do that, I want to know how wide this is, otherwise I don't know what size my pipe should be. I'm going to do a DIST from here to here is 5/8 of an inch. So I'm going to select this, type in pipe. It's going to ask me for the start radius. I can change it to diameter so I don't have to do any math. So I can do diameter, and then I'm going to say 5/8 of an inch. Hit enter, and I want my end radius to be the same, so I'll just hit enter again. And I don't want it to change at all, so I'll just hit enter again. It's going to be the same throughout the whole thing. Okay, great. So now that's on there. To get it on the other side, I'm just going to mirror it. So I'm going to come up here to MI for mirror. And then I can use my center point there to get it to go the other way as well. Okay, so now for this top bit, this also we're going to use a pipe for, but you'll notice that it changes widths over here. So we're going to change what we're doing a little bit. So I'm going to type in pipe again. And to ask for my start radius, so let's see where we are. We're over here. So I'm going to go into this view. Put on disable just so you're not snapping to crazy things. And it looks like I start out like about here. So I'm going to come out to here and click. So I'm just trying to, right now I'm trying to match up with the the right view. I'm going to try to match up the width with the right view. So I'm going to bring that. Then next thing it's going to ask me is the end diameter, which is all the way down here. So same thing, I'm just matching up that end view. Okay, and then it's asking me for a point for next diameter. So I can create other points on this curve to define it. So where it gets skinny, I'm going to put one in, and then I'm going to give it the new diameter. And then where it gets wider over here, I'm going to do the same thing. And then let's try that. Just hit enter. Okay, so now I have that whole thing happening. Obviously, like this and that are not blending very well right now. I'm going to choose not to care about that. If you want to, you can go through, fix where the connection point is, make those a little bit prettier. But for what we're doing, like I'm just interested in making sure you can generally use these tools. It doesn't need to be perfect. So I'm going to leave that alone. Okay, for the rest of the frame, this part is going to pretty much be like a normal pipe. This part is also going to have to do the same thing that we did in the front where it came out. So let's work on the normal frame first. And here you'll notice like we have that same kind of craziness happening, but I'm missing some of my center line here. So let's go through and actually, do I want to fix that or just leave it? We can fix it. Okay, so I'm going to go to my front view. Because I didn't put in this curve now, before I'm going to do it now, so I'm going to get my curve tool, come back to my centerline layer. I can put project on over here so that I know it won't go into some weird dimension. And then I'm going to get rid of my ortho. Okay, and then I can trim here, so TR, enter. Oh, you'll notice it's not trimming, so let's see why that is. So I thought I was drawing right next to this one, but you can see I wasn't. So what I need to do is move it over, or I need to project it onto the plane. So if I select this, I can make a plane. I don't feel like doing it that way. So instead, let's see, how far off the center plane are we? Everything's a bit off the center plane. So I can just move this. Maybe that's the easiest way to do this. So I'm going to do M for move. And I'm going to tell it to move from this point. And then in this view, I'm just going to kind of hold shift, come straight over, and just go perpendicularly. And that, it moved to somewhere crazy. So Control Z. How about I draw, so this is always the tricky thing in Rhino, it's like how to get things in the same plane if you don't start them in the same plane, which I should have done. Didn't do it. So let's try a line. Let's just make a line that goes straight this way. So click on there, perpendicular this way. Okay. Now let's do intersect. And you're going to intersect this line and the one I just made. Okay, so now I have a point to trim this to. So now when I move this, I can move it to that point, and now it'll actually be touching. Okay, much better. So now I can trim it. So select this, TR for trim off that part. And I can join those two. Okay. So we're saying that this whole piece, actually, let's say these two can be joined. Or let's just leave them separate. Okay. So I'm going to do a pipe. Make sure you're on your wireframe layer. And start radius is going to be, and here I'm looking, oh, and let's change to radius. Okay, so here I'm looking at this guy to get my radius. End radius is going to be to there, and then we need some center points, so we need to put one here, put one here, put one here, put one there, and enter. Okay, again, not perfect, good enough for what we're doing. Okay, and then here, same deal, pipe, and this one should have the same radius. Let that go. Okay, this one. Okay, for this back one, this is the one that needs a little bit of adjustment. So I'm going to do the same thing we did before where we retrace over that so that we're able to then adjust it a little bit. So I'm going to use my curve tool, come into front view. And here I'm staying on the blue line. Make sure that every time you click, you're on that blue line. I'm going to hit enter and stop when I get to a juncture like that. Okay, so once I've got all those purple lines, I just want to look at them in 3D and make sure I didn't do anything too nuts. Yeah, so it looks like that very end line is coming out to here. But that's actually what we want, is we want it to be further out, so that's fine. So I'm going to join those together, do points on. Okay, so now I'm going to move these points in or out to play better with what we already have happening. So all these ones I'm going to select. And I'm going to move them out. So I'm going to come to my top view. I want to move them like out past my past the gear piece. Okay, and then these ones also want to move out. Moving that out. That one's already out. This one wants to come out. And there's no like exact right. You want to be clear of the wheel is the idea. So I'm moving all to one side. I'm just kind of trying to be clear of the wheel. I have to think though that I am adding on the ends on some extra radius. So maybe these really want to come out more. Something like that. This one needs to move out. Actually, looks like there's a bunch in there that need to move out. So let's put this in wireframe a second. That one's my endpoint, so I don't want to move that one. So let's just move that. Okay, yeah, that one can move actually. Okay. These these center ones probably I want to move out a little bit. They're kind of wacky. Okay, let's say that's good enough. So now it's like approximately I want it. Now I'm going to take that and pipe it. And my radius is going to be, let's make it 5/16 of an inch. Same thing at the end. And then if I put this back into ghosted, you have that. That looks pretty thin, but no, that's about right. It is pretty thin. Okay, so I'm going to mirror that piece over. And actually, it looks like this is not super happy. So do you see how it's like kind of disappearing here? That happens when it like can't make the geometry on one end. So let's undo that. And how about we explode this into 3 segments? Okay, and now let's pipe each one separately. Because I think what happened was it like I made too sharp of a turn and then it got upset. Okay, that looks a little bit better. So let's now take that and let's mirror it. Okay, so now we have our bike frame, we have our wheels. And again, not a perfect bike, just basic idea of a bike, idea of what it could look like, right? So I still have to do our seat. The seat we're going to do it in a pretty funky way. And we still have to do our handlebars. So let's start out with our seat. The seat, we're going to use a different command. That's a different command. It's kind of funky. So I'm going to change this to seat 3D. It does not like me to write in all caps, I guess. Okay. Seat 3D. So for seat 3D, we're going to create a series of sections for this thing. And then do a loft to create it. So if I look, and this is like going to be one of the trickiest parts, I think. So I'm actually going to move this, take this actual seat part and move it. And I'm going to move it along here just so it's a lot closer to, notice I'm using the guidelines to move it so I know it's going nice and straight. Okay. So I want to create a series of curves that kind of describes the shape of this and the shape of that at the same time. So if I go in top view, I want to turn everything else off. I just want to look at that so that everything else isn't distracting me. So I'm going to turn off everything else other than seat 3D and 3D. Okay. So now that I have this, it's a little bit easier to look at. If I want to zoom it in all views, I can select it, type in Z, enter, and then A, enter, and then select it, and then that'll zoom it in all views. Okay. So first thing I want to do is decide like where my lines are going to be. So let's say I want where my sections are going to be. So let's say I want one at the beginning. I'm going to want one. And notice that didn't draw anywhere near. Where is that? Oh no, it's right there. We're good. Okay. I'm going to extrude this as a plane. So I'm going to come over here and do extrude. And then both sides. Okay. So I'm going to select this and I'm going to copy. So let's say I need one there. I need a section here, section here, and a section there. Let's say that's good enough to make our seat. Okay, so we're going to end up having a series of little sections that go in all those places. So I want to know the heights they're at. So to start out, I'm going to do an intersect. And I'm going to intersect these pieces with, oh, sorry, Control Z. I want to intersect those pieces with those pieces. So intersect, select objects to intersect. So I'm going to select all the planes, and then I want to select those section lines from the front view, and then hit enter. So that should give me a series of points that I know the heights at those places. Okay, now that I have that, I want to approximate what that shape is going to look like. So if I want to just draw, I can draw on just one plane, but I'm going to draw in front view, and then I'm going to project to the plane. So let's look at, and like that shouldn't be a point, so let's delete that. Okay, so we're just going to draw like we're drawing on this one to begin with. So I'm going to imagine what that front section looks like, and I'm going to make a new layer for this. Use my curve tool, and I put my disable on. And let's say that the very front of this looks like kind of downturns a little bit. So let's say it's kind of a curve like that. And then mirror it. Join those two together, and let's fill at the top so it's not crazy looking. Actually, let's just make a whole new line. Okay. So I'm just going to go over those. Okay, and then delete that. So this, you can see it drew it all the way back there and like in crazy parts, but it's not what we want. So we're going to do a project command, project, and then select surface to project onto. So I want to select this first surface, and I want to go into my right view, click on the top, and hit enter. Now if everything went right, it should be on there. So if it's not on there, where did it go? The projection missed the selected objects. Okay, so let's try that again. It might be confused because I selected in one view and then I tried to project it in the other view. So instead, let's hide all these other ones for the moment. So I'm going to put this just a hide layer. Right click, say change object layer, and then hide those out. Okay, so let's select this orange piece again. Come into our right view, and then, oh, the other thing it's probably upset about is that this whole shape is behind this whole shape. So I guess what I really want is the left view. So if I right click on here, I can go set view left. Let's see if that's happy now. So if I select it and then do project, and then select the surface and hit enter, yeah, now it's happy. So we do ZS, ZS. You can see that now this is right there. And that should be about right. Okay. So that section's fine. Let's put on our other views here. So now I want to draw in this one, which is going to be, it should be that height, this height, and this height. So same thing. So I'm going to take a curve. And here, this is not, I'm not doing this in any super accurate way. I'm just estimating. So I'm going to put project on just so I don't have such a crazy shape. And let's say here it's curving, but maybe it's not that big yet. Let's say it comes up to there. I'm going to put the points on and just try to make this look like a little bit more seat-like. And this, again, it's an art, not a science, this part. This, I'm just trying to make it look kind of like a seat as it comes back to there. Okay, I'm going to mirror this. Okay, and then I'm going to project it. So selecting this, project. I'm going to select the second surface. We're going to try doing this and see if it'll be happy, and hit enter. Nope, not happy. So let's see what's going on. If I join them, those are back here. Okay, so I think I am going to have to hide these. Okay, so now let's try it. Select this, left view, project, and then select that surface. Okay, great. So now that's over there. Okay, and I can delete this once I'm done with it. I don't necessarily still need it. Okay, next one. So this is where I think it gets the biggest and then it gets small again. So I can actually just like copy this top curve. And that top curve looks like it's already pretty much in the right place. So and then I'm going to mirror it. And I'm going to join those two together. Okay, delete that. Last one. And here it's the ending of the seat. So I want the seat to come small again. The one thing I don't think is good about this, did that come about to that point? Close enough. Okay. So for this last one, I want to kind of hit, and I can delete these points in between so I'm not looking at so many things. Okay, so for this last section, I'm going to make, again, I'm just approximating. So let's say I want that one and that one. So that'll be the top, that'll be the bottom. Okay. So I can disable it here, and the top was right here. So I guess we want that one. So it's going to be like this. Let's say it's something like that. Mirror. Okay, and join those two together. Okay, and I want to project them, so I select this, project, select this surface, hit enter, and it's there. Great. Okay, sorry, that was a whole thing. So now that I have those sections in there, I'm going to do a command called Loft. I hit Loft, and it says select curves to Loft. So I'm going to select this one, then this one. It's important you select them all kind of on the same side. And that one, see how it's not joined? I have to join it before I do it. So select them both, type in J for join. Oh, unable to join curves. Why not? So let's delete that. Let's see why we can't join them. I probably didn't mirror it exactly. Yep, so they don't actually touch the middle line. So let's mirror this again. Next one over there. Okay. So I have this. Let's mirror it. Okay, so I zoom in. I need to make a new line that connects those two because I didn't go all the way. Now let's try joining them. Okay, good. So let's try Loft again. So I'm going to select this one. You gotta select them in order and about in the same place on their geometry. Then hit enter. So there's their bike seat. A lot of effort to get just that kooky little form. And then you see there's different options here. So it's a normal one, a loose loft. If I say preview, it's going to give me something that kind of follows the curves, but is a little bit less tight. I can do a tight loft. and set preview, and then that's going to give me, I think I'm going to go with that one. That gives me just a little bit more definition. It's trying to hit my curves more closely. And I can, right now it's rebuilding it, I can click do not simplify and just see what it looks like. So there it's not simplifying it. See that little craziness there? I think that's better with, if I'm going to do rebuilds with control points, so then that does that. Okay, great. So now I have that. I'm going to turn the rest of my bike back on. So I have my C frame. I'm still missing my handlebars. Okay, and I'm still missing this dude. So obviously, like, I can go through and I can continue to model every little bit of this. I'm debating how much I actually want to go into detail on this versus like, is that enough? I think we need handlebars, right? Like handlebars seem pretty necessary, and there needs to be some connection between these two. So I think I'm just going to pipe this line and call it a day for that. So I'm going to rotate this out. I'm going to rotate the shape out, pipe it, call it a day for that for the seat. Oh, I forgot to offset the seat surface. So when Rhino makes a surface, this is like paper, it's thin. It really wants to have some thickness. So I'm going to do offset surf. Flip. So see, it shows you the direction it's going to offset in. I want to offset to the other side, so I'm going to say flip all. It's going at 25 feet. That's obviously too big, so let's just make it 1/8 of an inch. And then let's see what it did. So there it made it. It's not making it a solid right now. Let's see if we can get it to make it a solid. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. So let's try again. Offset. It says it's trying to make it a solid. So it might just be that, like, let me try flipping it to the other side and see if it'll do a solid. Sometimes if the geometry is too crazy, it's unable to decide what the geometry looks like. So I say offset distance 1/8. Okay, yeah, it still doesn't want to make it solid, but that's okay for right now. You could close it with a sweep if you would like to. So how you would do that, if you made a line that goes from here to here, and then you type in sweep 2. For your first rail, you're going to select all the top surface edges. And hit enter, and then cancel. Try that again. Sweep 2. First rail. I guess it only wants me to do one at a time. That's a pain in the butt. So let's do dupe edge. Let's see what I'll do. Dupe border. Dupe border duplicates the border or something. So let's do that. Okay, duplicated one border. So dupe border. Join it together so it's all joined. Okay, same thing here. Dupe border. Okay, and now let's try the sweep. So line sweep 2. First rail is going to be your top shape. Second rail is going to be your bottom shape. And then your cross-section curve is this. And now if you look, it's closing up all of that, and you can hit OK. Okay, good. So now that's looks like one solid thing. So sometimes the computer just can't calculate what it's supposed to look like, and that's when that happens. So I was going to move these over, rotate this out, and then pipe it. So to do that, I'm going to go to my front view, just do a simple rotate, starting at the top of this, coming out to here, rotating out to here, and then I'm going to do pipe, and I want it to be, let's say, I don't want it very thick. Let's say that thick. Okay. And then I'm going to mirror this thing. Okay, I have that. The last thing is the handlebars. For our handlebars, we're going to do the same thing where we make a shape here, and we're going to simplify it. I'm not going to include all the craziness. But I guess the handlebars are really like they're a straight bar and they're that. So let's start out with the straight bar. I don't have a center line for my straight bar. I don't have a center line for my straight bar, so I'm going to make one. So I'm just going to go through here, start a new layer. It won't let you change the name if you're in the middle of the commands. You might have to escape before you can do that. Let's do handlebars. Okay. So let's go from here to here. I'm going to look in this view. It drew it all the way back here, so I'm going to move it up until it's where I want it in this view. Again, I'm using my orthogonal views to move things to where I want them. And actually, I want it back here. How does a bike work? Thinking about this a second. Yeah, I want it back there. So I'm going to move that back to here. It should be more even with the top of that, I believe. And that could be totally wrong. I think it's about right, though. You want it like there, and then the handlebars come up from that. Okay, so I'm going to pipe that. My radius, I'm going to use this. And this, hit enter. Whoa, I messed that up. Control Z. So I don't know what I did there. Okay, that looks a little bit more reasonable. Okay, and then I guess where I'm getting confused is like, I think this really wants to be there. Let's take a look at what the bike actually looks like. Road bikes. The internet is being exceedingly slow here. So it's always good to have your reference image. Maybe I'll bring in a reference image and see if that helps me a little bit. So one way to bring in a reference image is if I type in picture frame. I can then find the original image I used to make my AutoCAD drawing. So that was under Mica. Week 2, open. And then I can just put it in. This is very similar to what we did in AutoCAD where you're drawing it in. Yeah, so I can't tell from this picture. I think this is straight, and then I think it comes out over there. That's what I think is happening. And then these come around. Yeah, it looks like it's straight for a while, then they come around, and then they come forward. So I think it's that one. It's one of these. Okay, so I think what we really want is for this pipe to come over a bit. So we're going to move this until it hits that point. Okay, and so now it lives right there. I think it's going to be a little bit happier there. So rest of our handlebars. I'm going to make a new curve that's going to follow this shape, and then I'm going to adjust it so it also follows the other shape. So using this, it's on disable, which is good. And so right now I want to actually escape a second. If you hold down on here, I like the interpolate curves a little bit better. That's the second one. Okay, that just helps it get a little bit more right in the middle where I want it. So now I'm bringing this around. Okay, beautiful. Then I'm going to do points on. And now in my right view, I'm going to adjust those points to be in line with the handlebars on here. So I'm moving these over. Oops, didn't want to select that one. And notice I'm only moving it right to left. I don't want to create like a whole bunch of extra lines happening in here. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Starting there, ending there. Okay, now we're going to pipe it. Pipe radius is going to be like that. The end point is like that. So we have a mid one that's like that. Okay, got that on. So I'm going to mirror that. My guidelines, it looks like are off. So I'm going to put those back on so I can see. Okay, now I have those on. Great, so I have all that. I'm not going to worry about the breaks. We're just going to make this one without breaks. Last thing is I need to connect these two. And for that, I'm going to, let's do an extrusion, or let's do a sweep maybe, or how about a revolve? Maybe I'll do a revolve for this one to show you a different tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the top shape of this. So I'm going to grab my polyline tool, and I'm just going to repeat that shape that's already there. Hit enter. I'm going to select it. I also need a center line for myself, so I'm going to create an approximate center line. Let's say it's coming from here, going to there. Okay, so selecting that top line, I'm going to type in revolve. And then my revolve axis is going to be that line I just made from there to there. And start angle 0, reverse angle 360. Okay, and now I have that little thing, and I can cap it so that it is a solid. Okay, beautiful, got my whole bike. Now I'm going to turn off all this stuff. Guidelines off, delete that, and there it is. If I want to get rid of any curves that are still showing, I can say select curve, and I can just delete them, so I'm not looking at them. So for your tutorial, if you could just show me this, you can take a snap of it and save it.